This conference will now be recorded.
So in our previous class, we have seen the importance of PEGA platform application. No? It will be like one OOTB application, and it will be acting like a framework to the application what we are to the application what we are trying to create. And we have already seen the importance of framework application also, and we have created one framework and implementation application separately. So whenever we create any kind of application like framework or implementation, it will be asking us to create one operator ID. So we can able to create multiple operator IDs also. So based on that, we will be getting login, and we should be using that for the accessing this session. So these are all the operator IDs we have created yesterday. So I have just logged into my application, implementation application with this login. Okay. So whenever we log into application, either framework or implementation, we will be seeing something like this one in the App Explorer. So in the App Explorer, there will be something called classes heading, and in this we will be seeing something like this. So if we closely observe, we can able to understand that this is something what we have created as the organization name. Okay, and this is something what we have created for the implementation application. So this is the name what we have given the name like implementation application, and it is having something like work at the last. We'll discuss about this. So PRPC will be understanding everything in terms of and classes only. So based on the organization name or the implementation application name, whatever we are trying to give, it will be understanding everything in terms of and classes. So in the background, it will be creating classes. So you just remember this point as of now. Now we are in the implementation application. As I told you, if we are in the implementation application, that will be considered as a child to the framework or the organization. So if this is my structure, so this is my implementation application. We have logged into this implementation application. So this implementation application will be considered as a child to this framework as well as the child to this organization level also. No? So if I want to access any kind of components from framework, I can able to do that from implementation. And if I want to access any kind of components which is in the another framework, I can able to access. So this is just like a parent and child relationship. So we'll discuss more about this when we are talking about inheritance. That will be in this class itself. So you understood about this child and parent relationship, no? So now we are in the implementation application. As discussed, we can able to access or create the components from the in the framework application from this implementation also. So yesterday we have created one framework application. Even for the framework application, there should be some classes created at the background. No? So this is for the implementation application, and if I log in here, I can able to see some PRPC has created some classes. Now if I just want to check for the classes which are created for the framework, I can able to do it from the implementation application also. So that is what the point I'm trying to tell you. So this is the class search bar where we can able to search for any kind of classes. So it might be OOTB classes, or it might be framework classes or implementation classes also. So now this is the child, and I can able to check for the classes from its parent, that is framework, or the organization level, or many OOTB classes. There will be many OOTB classes. We'll discuss about that later. Now my intention here is to check for the framework class. So whenever we are creating one framework application, there should be some set of classes created for the framework application, and similarly there should be separate set of classes created for the implementation. Suppose if I am trying to create one more implementation application on top of this, maybe in some later future time, then there should be some classes created for that also. So if you are trying to work in implementation application, we have to use those classes, and if you are trying to work on framework classes, we have to use those classes. So the yesterday I have sent you one document, no? So in the document, if we just observe in the screen, we can able to see the org class structure. So this is for the framework. So while creating the framework application in the advanced settings, what we have done, we have just selected the framework and given the application name and the organization. After this, there will be something values automatically populated at the bottom. So this is the organization name, and this is the framework application name what we are giving, and work will be automatically coming. And in between there is something called FW meaning framework. So based on the by just seeing the class name, it should be understandable that whether the class whether the application is framework or implementation. So if it is a framework application, we'll be having FW like this, and if it is just an implementation, there will not be FW here. I should be having access to the framework application, no? So let me check for the framework application directly from the implementation application. So how the structure will be? FW, and this is the class. Okay, so this is the class which is automatically created. If you just log off from this implementation application and log into framework, we will be seeing automatically this value. So this is what we have already seen. I mean, we are aware of. CHG is the organization name, and this is the framework application name. And at the last, in both the applications, we are seeing something like work. PRPC will be creating automatically one class called work for every application. If we create 5 framework applications also, there will be 5 different work classes created for each and every framework application. Okay, because whatever all the work we are trying to do, if you want to create one web designing page, or if you want to perform some logics, some business logics, or the database queries, I mean any kind of work related that has to be done in this work class only. So that's why PRPC will be creating automatically one class called work for each and every application. If you want to create some sections or the properties, everything that has to be done in this class only. So if we just right click on any of this class, we can able to see the set of the rule categories, and on that we can able to see all the rules. Suppose if you want to create one section, I'll explain this about in detail. So if you want to create one section, we should be doing like this. So the final thing what I'm trying to say is, if you want to perform any kind of business logics, we should be using this work class. So that's why PRPC will be creating automatically one OOTB class called work. So it is not OOTB, it will be creating one class called work at the end of each and every application. For the implementation, there will be one work appended, and for the framework also there will be one work appended. As I told you, it will be understanding everything in terms of classes only. We have created one organization, and we have created one framework application, and we have created one implementation application. So like this, if we have created one framework, we have created one organization, we have created one framework, and we have created one implementation. So this organization, if we are trying to create one more framework application in the future, then what we will be doing? So the structure will be like this, looking like this. So it will be connected to this, and if it is having some implementation application, then it will be connected to that. I'm just talking about the right side one. Okay, so if you are trying to create any kind of application on the existing organization, it has to be linked to that organization, no? It should be connected to that. So for that, PRPC will be creating one separate class for organization, one separate class for framework, one separate class for implementation. So getting confused, Huma or Tulani? Clear?
Yeah, clear.
And Huma? So both of you clear now?
Clear, but yeah, I want to get refreshed one time. So can you tell me like a quick shot with one more time doing that classes again, creating another class?
Creating or searching? I didn't get you.
Creating another class. So if you have taken one framework, right? So there you have to create that name of the class, and we have to take it from here, or we are creating from here itself.
We will not be creating any classes manually as of now. What we have done, so it just clear that as of done, we have just created one framework application and one implementation application. You clear, no? So if I just log into my implementation application, let me refresh this, all the changes will be gone. Now what we have done, we have just logged into my implementation application. You are clear so far, no? So if we just log in there, we are seeing something that is automatically coming here. Okay, even if you log into framework application, there will be one separate value that will be automatically coming there. So that value will be given like this. So So this is the class what we are seeing for implementation. So this how we came to know by just logging here. By just logging into this implementation application, I came to know that there is one class automatically created. By just seeing this, I can able to understand this is the name of organization and this is the name for what we have given for implementation. Okay, and there is something automatically created called work. You forget about this as of now.
Okay. Okay.
By just seeing this, what we trying to understand, we can able to understand that PRPC will be creating everything in terms of an classes. Yesterday when we are creating one implementation application, we have given one organization name and we have given one implementation application name. So based on this, it will be creating one class like this. So CHG is the organization name and this organization is linked to one application. This is the name of the application. You forget about this work as of now. Okay. So this is the linking happening. So this is the main class, that is the organization class. This organization class has been linked to this implementation class. Clear so far?
Yeah.
And if you log off from this implementation application and if you log in back with the framework login, so this is the login what we have seen for the framework, no? So if you log in like framework, then you will be getting like this. You can able to check. So this is not something like by heart. You can able to log off and you can able to log in. So if we log off and log in with this login, I mean with this framework login operator, we will be getting the class name automatically like this. Okay. So if we observe, there is nothing difference in the first value, and there is something like FW appended between the first and second one, and this is the name of the application, framework application what we have given. Okay, so this framework application, this is the application, this is connected to this organization, and leave about this work as of now. And by just seeing the class 1 and the class 2, we should be understanding that this is the implementation and this is the framework. Why? Because PRPC will be giving one differentiation like FW appended between this organization and framework application. So by just seeing these two values, you can able to understand now. So this is the application name that is connected to this organization, and this is the application that is connected to this organization. And just for our human understanding, we can able to recognize that this will be considered as a framework. And if we want to create any kind of core components that will be used in multiple implementation applications, we should be using this class. Okay. And if we feel that that will be used only into this implementation, will be using this class. Clear so far? Is that still confusing? Uma, clear, no?
Yeah, clear, Chandra.
And if we are trying to create one more implementation application, then how then class will be like this. If I'm giving application name like sample, okay, then it will be, if you log in with that operator ID into this implementation application, we will be seeing class name like this. And suppose if you are trying to create one more framework application with the name like sample1, let us say. So framework application has to be easily identified, no? So that's why PRPC will be creating one class like this. So for the there is nothing confusion here. It will be like it's lack of practice. That's it. You just practice it. It will be very easy for you. So for the framework application, it will be giving like FW, and for the normal application like implementation application, it will be directly giving with the application name what we have given. Okay. And as discussed, if we want to create any kind of common things, we will be using this framework application. If we are creating it in the framework, then we can able to reuse this. Then what we have to do in this case, we have to create those kind of reusable components in this framework application. This is the framework application. Implementation application will be considered as a child. If I just log in here with this implementation application, I can able to I should be given access to create the components or properties into the framework also. So for that, I can able to just search for the class here. So if I just give the class name, this is the class name for framework and this is the class name for implementation. If I want to create any specific component into this implementation application, I can able to use this class. Okay, and if I want to create any components in the framework library framework, then what I can do, I can just copy this and paste it here. If we are trying to create any components here, if we just right click on this, we can able to create multiple multiple rules. So if I'm trying to create any rules on this class, then those rules will be considered as created in the framework. Okay, then this can be reused into many implementation applications or its child applications. So if you want to create any kind of components, just right click and we can able to create multiple rules. So these are all the rule categories, and if you mouse over on anything, we can able to see the corresponding rules. If I want to create one more operator ID here, then the operator ID will be created for this framework application. Why? Because we are trying to right click on this framework application and creating one operator ID for that. Okay, and whatever the operator ID we are trying to create it now on this framework will not be used to log in the implementation application. Getting my point, Uma? I think you got a bit confused earlier.
Yeah, got it.
So this is the implementation application. Now I can able to give I can able to search for any kind of parent also. So if I can able to search for the components for the framework, or I can able to create it, and this organization is also one of the parent. No, so if this is my second framework, if there are common components, one second. So right now we have one framework and one implementation. Maybe in the next future, if you get a business requirement of creating one more framework, what we will be doing, we'll be creating one new framework application, and while selecting that framework application in the advanced configuration, we will be selecting the same organization name. Okay, then that will be considered as like this. So new framework application will be created. So in order to use this organization for the multiple frameworks or multiple implementation, there should be one class created for this. So there will be one class created for the implementation application like this. There will be one class created for the framework like this. And similarly, there will be one class created for organization also. CHG is our organization. So just click and enter. We can able to see. So there is one class created for the organization also. Okay. On top of organization, we will be having one framework that I'll tell you later. So we will be having one class created for organization and one class created for implementation application. This is the implementation application. Okay, and there will be one class created for framework also. Let me know if you're getting confused. So there will be, this is the class related for framework application, and this class is alone is not sufficient to create any kind of components. As we just discussed, if you want to create any, if you want to perform any kind of business logic, we have to use this work class only. So for every application, PRPC will be creating one small child class like work at the last. So this is what we already know. And for every application, this is one application, this is one framework application. For every application like framework or implementation, PRPC will be creating one class called work at the last, and we have to use this class only for creating the business logics. So if you want to create one section, or if you want to create some integrations, or if you want to perform some data transform or activities, everything, any kind of business logics has to be done on this work class only. That's why it will be automatically giving the class name created as work. Okay, so this is for the framework. We call this as a framework application, framework class. And similarly, there will be one more class for implementation work class. So this is the implementation worker class. So instead of we searching all the time, we can able to pin the classes also. So if I just pin it here, I can able to see the worker class created, I mean see visible there. And if I want to see the framework, then I can able to see it. If we just pin it, we can able to see these classes all the time. So there will be cases where we have to work on these implementation classes, and there will be cases where we have to create the components and framework also, no? So we should be having these two handy. If you want to create any common components, we will be just right clicking on this and we'll be creating the rules. And if you want to create any specific components which will be used for this implementation application like claims, just right click on this, we'll be getting the same options. We have to create the rules from here. Okay, so this is the framework work class and this is the implementation worker class. Similarly, there will be one class created for organization. So this is the organization. And if you want to just check for the definition of this, so if you want to just know the characteristics of any class, what you have to do, you have to just right click. So this is for the implementation work class, no? Just right click and click on definition. So if I yesterday we have seen this kind of definition for this application, no? So if we just click on here and click on definition, we have seen some characteristics or the some characteristics about this application rule. Now one class has been created, and if I want to know the definition of that particular class, just right click and click on definition. One new tab will be opened and I can able to see all the characteristics of that particular implementation work class. We are seeing something like its class type as an concrete, and this belongs to, I mean, this is a class group. Likewise, we are seeing few details. Similarly, if we want to know the definition of this framework work class, also the same thing. Just right click on the framework work class and click on definition. New tab will be opened and we can able to see the characteristics of that particular framework work class. Okay, so if we observe these two, there will not be major changes, I'll tell you. And this is the organization class. So if we want to know the characteristics of this, if you want for any class, it is the process is common. Right click and click on definition. We will be getting the characteristics or the definition of this particular class. So this is the organization class. Yes, any doubt? So someone asking anything?
No, we are okay.
Yeah. So if you want to just check for the definition of this organization, just right click and click on definition. And similarly, there will be one class created for the implementation application also, no? Implementation and the framework also, no? So this is the class that has been created for the implementation application. This class, this one and this one, both are different. So this is just the implementation division class. I'll tell you what is division. So this is just an implementation class and this is the implementation work class. Both are different. On top of this, one work will be created. That is what we have discussed. And if we just check for the definition of this class, we can able to see it. So the point what I'm trying to stress here is, so this is the definition of implementation work class. In implementation work class, we are seeing class type as concrete. And if you scroll down, this is showing something like is a class group. And if you scroll down, we are seeing something like test connection. Okay, mark all this as of now. And if we just check for the framework work class, so this is the definition of framework work class. And here we are seeing something like concrete, and the both seems to be same. If we just compare these two, both the class groups, I mean both the implementation class as well as the framework work class, there are no major changes. Class type is concrete, and here also class type is concrete. And this is a class group, and this is a class group. So I'm just trying to compare, nothing more than that. Okay, and this is the definition of organization class. So here we are seeing major changes. Here the class type it is showing like concrete, and here it is showing like abstract, and here it is showing something like the settings. The setting section is not at all there here. It is there, but this section is not there. So this is a class group, and there is no such part here. Okay. And if we just check for the definition of implementation class, it is showing something like abstract. So there is no difference between these two classes, and there is no difference between these two classes. Okay. So finally what I'm trying to say here is the work class will be having one set of definition, and the normal classes will be having another set of definition. So these two are the work classes, but this is not the work class. Okay, this is not the work class. So if it is not a work class, it will be having one definition, and if it is a work class, it is having another set of another definition. So if we compare, work classes seems to be concrete, and other classes seems to be abstract. Okay, so there will be two types of classes in PRPC. So that is concrete class and abstract class. So this will be again important interview question. So they will be asking you the types of classes. You have to answer it like abstract and concrete. Clear so far? I'll explain you what is abstract and what is concrete. And Tulani also clear, no?
Yes, sir.
So now let me tell you the difference between abstract and concrete. So in interview they'll be asking you this. So all the work class will be of concrete, and all the other classes will be of abstract. So before that I have to give you one example that will be much easier for you. So let us take the example of our Tata organization. So Tata is one of the biggest organization in India. That organization will be having many divisions. So it will be having one division like electronics, and it will be having one division like IT, and it will be having one division like jewelry. Okay, and likewise there will be having many divisions for each and every organization, and under divisions they will be having many units. For electronics we will be having Chroma here in India, and we will be having Clink also, and under IT we will be having TCS, and at jewelry we will be having Tanishq. Okay, so for any organization there will be many divisions. So this is my organization, and each organization will be having many divisions, and under each division there will be many units. Okay, so Tata is the organization, and electronics is one of the division, and under electronics division it is having two units here. Chroma is one unit and Clink is one unit. Suppose if you go to Chroma and ask for a laptop, what they will be doing, if they have a laptop ready, they will be giving it to you ready. If they are not having that laptop ready, what they will be doing, they will be just taking some advance from you like a booking amount, and they will be interacting with this division part, that is electronics part, whether they have that particular laptop in their godown ready or not. So if they are having it ready, what they will be doing, they will be sending back to the Chroma, and from Chroma you will be getting a call and you have to collect it from Chroma. So this is the process what generally happens. And in this process, if the electronics part, I mean the division part is also not having the stock ready, what they will be doing, they will be contacting the organization. So they'll be just checking with the start organization whether they have laptops ready or not. If they are having, they will be sending it to the electronics godown, and from their electronics godown they will be sending back to the Chroma, and from Chroma you have to collect it. Okay, so in this whole process you will not be getting this laptop ready, sorry, you will not be getting this laptop from any of these places. You will be getting laptop only from the Chroma. If they are having it ready, you will be you will be given it on that day. And if they are not having, you have to wait it for the whole process. Whole process meaning they will be internally contacting with the electronics division, and electronics division will be internally contacting with data organization, and they have to come back to the main calling only. They have to send it to the main electronics division, and they will have to send it to the chroma, and from chroma only you have to collect it after 2 or 3 days. So all the business happens at this chroma level only. You agree with this, no? All the business happens at this unit level only. Unit level is responsible for running the business completely. We can able to once we get the laptop ready, once we are getting the laptop, with that we will be getting one bill or invoice also. We call this as a bill or invoice or transaction ID or anything. So technically we call this as a work object. We'll discuss that later. So with that laptop we will be getting one invoice number or the transaction ID. So if you are not getting this laptop from the chroma, if you directly go to the Tata CEO, and if you ask for a laptop, they will not be giving it to you ready. Okay, why? Because they cannot able to give you the bill has to be generated only by this unit level. Only chroma is responsible for generating the transaction IDs. So if they have transaction ID ready, it will be very easy for us for the tracking. So if we get a laptop repaired within 1 year, we can able to get it replaced. That process will be completely based on this transaction ID only. So they will be just checking for the transaction ID, and based on the transaction ID they will be having one database maintained, and they can able to identify the details when you have purchased, where you have purchased. Those kind of details can be maintained if they are maintaining one transaction IDs. So transaction IDs will be maintained by this unit level only. So this is just compared to our live example, real-time example. Even the electronics go down also, if they can give you laptop also, if you're trying to pay some extra money and asking for laptop also, they will not give it for you. Why? Because they cannot able to generate any kind of bill from their end, and even from the organization level also they cannot able to generate the transaction IDs from their end. So finally what I'm trying to say is, all the business should start and end at this unit level only, at the chroma only. Okay, in between, if the chroma could not able to run the business successful, they will be contacting this division class, the division layer, or the organization. So this division class and the organization classes are responsible for helping this unit class to run the business successful. Okay, so in this unit class we can able to initiate one transaction. Initiating one transaction means they can able to initiate one bill. So they can able to initiate the transaction, or they can able to run the business also. If they're having laptop ready, they will be just giving it for you in very less time, and they will be giving the bill as well. So they are responsible for initiating the business. They're responsible for closing the business, and they can able to initiate the transaction ID also. And in this division class and the organization class, they cannot able to initiate the transaction IDs. They can just able to help the unit class. So technically we call this unit class as a concrete class. And these classes will be considered as an abstract, and this also abstract. So finally, abstract classes are the classes which are meant for helping the concrete classes to run the business successful. So we cannot able to initiate the transaction IDs in this abstract class, and we cannot able to initiate the transaction IDs in this organization class, and the organization class or the corresponding division class. So this will be the division class. Okay, so the organization class or the division class, these will be considered as an abstract, and these are just meant for helping the concrete class to run the business successful. So in concrete class we can able to initiate one transaction ID, and we can able to run the business also. But with abstract classes we can able to just run the business, we cannot able to initiate the transaction IDs. So that's the difference between abstract and concrete class. So if we compare it, clear now so far?
Yes, Chandra. Yeah, clear. So what are concrete and what are abstract? We are clear.
Hello, Chandra.
Hi Tulani, are you able to hear my voice?
Hey, Uma, I think I can hear you, but I can't hear Chandra.
Yeah, I too. If I'm saying anything, I think he is not responding. I think he has a problem with his network.
Yes. Can you rejoin?
Um,
Can you ask him?
yeah, I typed a text, but okay, I'm hearing. I think problem with his sites, right? So he can rejoin. Hello. Hi Chandra. Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, I'm talking and Tulani also talking, but you are not able to hear. I think, is it possible to rejoin from your side or our side? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, you can continue. We are able to hear you. And if you have a doubts, we will type with the chat window.
No connection is restored. You can hear me now, no?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you in team. I mean, in this GoToMeeting as well.
Okay.
Yes. So sorry for that. And so we are discussing about these types of classes. No? So concrete classes are responsible for creating the transaction IDs and as well as the running of business successful. But these abstract classes, we cannot able to create the transaction IDs. So these are just meant for running, helping these concrete classes. So if we can able to create some transaction IDs in concrete class, we should be maintaining it in some database. No, we have to store it. We have to store all this in database also. So concrete classes are responsible for creating transaction IDs. It is responsible for running the business successful, and it is also responsible for storing all these transaction IDs in some storage. Okay. So having this knowledge, we can able to understand this very easily. So this is the implementation class. As I told you, work class is a concrete class where we can able to create the transaction IDs. So this is one work class, implementation work class. We can able to create the transaction IDs here. And if this is this is framework work class, and this is also concrete, and we can able to create some transaction IDs here also. And these are abstract. We cannot able to create transaction IDs, and it is showing class type as an abstract here. And if we are trying to create one transaction IDs, we have to store it. We have to store those also, no? Meaning this particular transaction IDs, what we are trying to create in this implementation work class, has to be linked to one database table. All the transaction IDs which I am trying to create for this particular class, that is concrete class, there should be one table linked to that. So in order to identify that particular table which is linked to this, scroll down and click on test connection. So test connection to this database table, it is showing something like this. So if we just click on test connection, we are seeing something like this particular class. This is the implementation work class has been mapped to one table. So this is the table PC underscore, and rest everything seems to be same based on the class name. Okay, I'll show you in the database also in the coming classes. So this particular work class, which is responsible for creating transaction IDs, and this is a concrete class, and it should be having one database table linked to that. And in order to identify that particular database table, what you have to do, you have to just right click on this definition, scroll down, and there will be something called test connection. So if we just click on test connection, we can able to see that particular table which is mapped to this. So if we create any transaction IDs, it will be linked to this table, and in the database also we can able to see this data in this table. Similarly, this is for the framework work class, and even for this framework work class also we can able to create some transaction IDs, and there should be one database table linked to that. No, so click on the test connection. So this particular framework work class has been linked to another table. So this is the table. So PC underscore. So it is always showing like PC underscore in both the tables. There will be table name starting with PR underscore also. I'll tell you the importance when we're working with data classes. So each and every work class has to be linked to one dedicated table. So this is one separate table, and there will be one separate table for this work class. So that's what we have discussed yesterday. Whenever we are trying to create one application, it will be creating many rules from the background. It has to create all the tables like this, all the tables, all the JDBC connections, everything. So this is just for our understanding. We will not be creating any tables like this. PRPC will be automatically creating the tables, and whatever all the transaction IDs we are trying to create, that will be linked to this table. So once we get access to this database, we can able to see the same data by just knowing the table name. So we know how to get the table name, no? And if we go to the abstract classes, there will not be such concept like test connection. So here we are seeing something like test connection section, and in the abstract, we go to any of the abstract class, there will not be anything like test connection. So abstract classes are not meant for creating transaction IDs. If they are not meant for transaction IDs, there is no concept of having one table for that. So that's why PRPC will not be giving any provision for having test connection here. There will not be any database table connected. Okay. So here it is showing this is the implementation work class, and this is the framework work class, and in both the classes it is showing something like is a class group, and here also it is showing something like is a class group. So I'll tell you what is this is a class group and does not belongs to class group, everything. So finally, all the concrete classes are not meant for creating transaction IDs. So you clear so far, no, Uma or Tulani? You got the difference between abstract and concrete, no?
Yes.
And Uma also? Both are clear, no?
Yes, Chandra. Yeah.
Chandra, I
So
have one
yes.
question. These abstract classes and concrete classes, is there any other way to identify this? It's like when I was going through the course, I saw that if there is a hyphen before the class, then it's a concrete class. Then there is, if there is no hyphen, then it's an abstract class or something. I
So
didn't get
earlier
it.
earlier we used to have hyphen at the last. Before
Hmm.
version numbers 8, we used to have hyphen at the last. So if we just have hyphen at the last like this, we should be considering that as an abstract. Else we will be
Okay.
considering this as an concrete. So we will not be having any dash like this, no.
Yeah.
So if you compare these two, we are having dash after this one, and after work class we will not be having any dash. So this will be considered as an concrete, and this will be considered as an abstract. But this type of understanding has been washed out before 7 version only. I mean before this 8 version only.
Oh.
Clear now?
Yes. Thank you.
All the classes will be linked with these hyphens. That is what you understood. I came to know. I got. And it is very easy for us to check for the definition. So you don't get confused by just hyphens. Why? Because before versions like 7, we used to identify based on the hyphens, and now that nomenclature has been removed. Any other doubts, Tulani, Aruma? So apart from these classes, these two are the classes which are created as part of our application creation. So apart from these classes, we can able to create some other classes also. We can able to create one abstract class if we want forcefully, or if we can able to create one concrete class also. Why? Because we will be given, we are the developers and we will be given access to do anything here. We can able to create one concrete and an abstract also. That's up to us. And the point what I'm trying to say is all the concrete classes are not meant for creating transaction IDs. So there will be some restrictions. So if we want to create the transaction IDs, for sure it should be concrete class, and this is a class group. This should be this selection. Okay. Under this drop down, we have some other things also. So if this combination is like this only, class type should be concrete, and this particular class should be a class group. So all the work classes are by default class groups. So this is the work class. This is the work class. All the work classes by default is a class group. We call this as an implementation class group, and we call this as a framework class group. Okay. If any class which is a concrete and is a class group, then this is meant for creating some transaction IDs, and there will be one table test connection for that. And in the future coming classes, we will be creating some concrete classes. All the data classes are concrete classes also, and those will not be a class group. Those will be belongs to does not belongs to a class group. Don't get confused today. So as of now, been under impression that if we want to create any kind of transaction IDs, it should not be just alone concrete. It should be concrete as well as this is a class group. Then only we can able to create some transaction IDs, and we can able to have the storage for that. Okay, clear?
One more thing, Chandra, like when we are declaring the class as a concrete, and you said like a transaction ID, it will be used for all the remaining tasks, right? So if we are doing any transaction, so that
Yes.
cases we have to change each and every data to be changed into the class. This class is a class group. This class does not belong to a class group.
No.
Okay.
No, you mean to say whatever all the new classes we are trying to create in our coming classes, we have to change these options. Is that the thing you're asking? No, I didn't get you. Can you please come again?
Yeah, inside the concrete class, if we have a two data, one is transaction ID and transaction password, or some other transaction name, something like that. So each and every data we have to make it as a change of this class is a class group, this class does not.
No. So whatever all the business implementation we're trying to do, if you want to create one login screen, or if you want to insert one image, okay, what are all the business transaction what are all the business logic we are trying to implement as part of our business requirement? What we will be doing, we will be creating some rules on top of this class group. We will not be making any modifications on this. This is just for your understanding purpose. So in our coming classes, if you want to work on any of the business requirements, what we will be doing is we will be identifying on which class group we have to select. I'll be just right clicking on this particular class group and go to user interface or any other rule and click on section. So automatically one section rule will be created on top of this. We will not be working on all changing this anytime. So whatever all the class that is automatically created by PRPC, we are trying to just understand, that's it. Okay, in the coming, don't think that whatever all the things we are trying to implement as part of business transaction, business requirements will be involved with these changes.
Okay.
Maybe from the next classes you will be much clear. We will not be making the changes in any of this. We will be we are trying to just understand what PRPC has been created for us.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll work on creating one sample web application, sample registration page tomorrow. Then you will be understanding clearly which class we will be selecting and how we will proceed. You'll be getting very clear idea. Why? Because these are just meant for our understanding and interview purpose only. And in the real-time project, what we'll be doing, we will be just uploading some images for the display purpose, and we will be creating some fields like enter your first name, or we'll be working on the attachments. Okay. So as part of this claiming process, what we'll be doing, first we will be asking the customer to register with our organization. Once he is registering with us, what we have to do, we have to we have to collect his policy details or the beneficiary details. Okay.
Okay.
Everything as per the business transaction. So this is just for our understanding purpose only. So this is not the class what I have created. PRPC has automatically created one class, and just I'm trying to understand what is maintaining it here. That's it. So in this class, there will be important point is they will be asking the difference between types of classes and the difference between the classes.
Okay, so these two are the interview points that we have to focus on today's class.
Yes.
Okay.
And we thought of having discussion about inheritance also in this class itself. Maybe time will not be sufficient. Okay. And so whatever the thing we are discussing about like transaction IDs, that is just for our understanding. Technically in PRPC, we call this as a work object. Okay. So what are all the transaction ID we are discussing, that will be considered as a work object. So if I want to create any kind of business transaction, one work object ID will be created, and that will be unique for each and everyone, and we will be using this for our further communications. This is just like in transaction IDs. Okay, this will be considered as in transaction ID or case ID. So these two are the technical terminologies what we have to understand. So concrete classes are meant for creating work object IDs or the case IDs, and abstract classes cannot able to create these work object IDs. Okay, clear?
Yeah, clear.
So this is what we have discussed, no, transaction ID. Actually, technically in PRPC, we have to call this as a work object ID. So do you want me to continue? I think it's already 10 o'clock. I can able to continue if you are interested. Or if you want me to continue tomorrow also, it's fine for me.
Yeah, you can go ahead if you have time. Yeah.
What about Tulani?
Shall we continue, Chandra, if you like available?
Sorry, you want me to continue or stop?
Shall we continue? Because,
Okay, yeah. So now we'll discuss about inheritance. Sorry. So this is the organization class, no, and this is the division class, and this is the unit class. Suppose if chroma, this is the unit class, no. So if I want to use the help of, sorry, if I want to inherit any kind of components into this chroma, it can able to get it from either electronics division or from the Tata division, Tata only. Okay, why? Because this is connected. So if chroma is lack of laptops, it will not be contacting IT department or jewelry division. It has to contact its immediate parent division only. Okay. And electronics is one division which will be considered as in one of the class, and this is meant for helping this unit class. And if in this unit one, suppose let me consider this as unit one, so that will be easy for us. in using this terminology. So these four different units, and this is like division 1. So this is organization. Okay, this is unit 1. No? Suppose if we unit 1 can able to inherit components from D1 as well as the organization. Okay, and unit 2 clink, this also can able to inherit components from division 1 as well as the organization. Why? Because this is connected in this way. Okay, and U3 can able to inherit components from D2 and or organization. Directly from organization also it can able to get it. Why? Because this is considered as an child, this will be considered as an parent, this will be considered as a grandparent. Okay, as a child we can able to access the properties or the components from my father. I am a child of my father, so I will be having complete legal authority on my father's property. In comparison with normal human relationships also, I will be having complete legal access on my father property, and similarly I will be having legal access on my father property also, I mean grandfather property also. So I'll be having legal access on my father property as well as the grandfather property also. My father will be having legal authority on my grandfather property only, not on my property. So whatever the property I am earning, there will not be any legal access for my father. Okay, so the same thing here. So this is the child. So the child can able to access components from the division class, and it can able to access the components from organization class also. Similarly, U2 can able to access components from division, and it can able to access components from organization also directly. But reverse is not possible. So division class cannot able to access components from U1. So this is my father, and I am this one. U1 is myself. So division 1 will not be having any access or will not be having any legal authority on my components. So you're getting point, you're clear now? So this is the concept of inheritance. Inheriting meaning inheriting the components from its parent classes. So if those classes are properly related, so U1 and U2, so these two are the childs of division 1. So what are all the components we have in division 1, those will be equally shared with U1 or U2. U1 can able to use all the components from division 1, U2 can able to use all the components from division 1 also. But there will not be any relationship between U1 and U2. So these two are brothers, like siblings. Okay, siblings will not be given any legal access, no? They will be connected to their father property only. So what are all the components we have in U1, it will not be used to U2, and it will not be used to division 1 also. Okay, getting clear?
Yeah.
So this is because of the concept of inheritance. Inheritance meaning inheriting the components from its parent or from the grandparent if they are connected legally. So U1 will not be given any legal access to division 2. U2 will not be given any access to division 3. So there should be one legal relationship between all these. If they are constructed in a proper relationship only, they can able to inherit the components. So U1 will be considered as a child of D1, and D1 cannot able to access any components from U1 or from U2, and there will not be any relationship between U1 and U2. So these two are just as siblings. So chroma is one separate unit, and clink and TCS, these are all the separate units. So what are all the transaction IDs or any components we create it in chroma, there will not be shared or there will not be given any access to be viewed by this other implementation applications, other units. So that's because of inheritance. So if we want to just check for inheritance of any class, we can able to do that. So this is, here we'll be having one class, no? So this is one class. So for abstract we'll be having one class, and for organization we have one class. And this is for U1. And U1, if I just want to find the relationship, you join in any organization today, and if you are given with some operator ID, you will be having this class automatically coming there. And here By just seeing this class name, you should be knowing what are all its parent and what is the framework connected to this, how many framework my application is having, how many frameworks my application is having. So you should be having all this knowledge, no? Without you having all this knowledge, you cannot able to create the components in the framework. Okay, so this is one implementation application. So you may be having 5 or 6 parallel implementation applications like this, or you may be having 3 or 4 framework applications connected to this. So you should be knowing all this. So if we just have one class ready here like this, you should be knowing the inheritance. Inheritance meaning I should be knowing the parent of this particular class. So this is the unit class, no? So this is the concrete class. So if this is one of the concrete class, there should be one parent like abstract to this, and there should be one more organization class, or we might be having another implementation framework classes also. So the first thing what I'm trying to say here is you should be knowing the parent-child relationship. So if this is the implementation application, if you want to create any component specific to this, you can simply right click on this one and you can able to create. And if you don't know whether your organization using framework or not, what you have to do, you have to identify the inheritance. Inheritance meaning from which class it is being inherited. Okay, this has to be inherited from some other class that will be considered as a parent, and that class will be inherited from some other class that will be considered as another parent like grandparent. If you're not having that relationship ready, you cannot able to work on anything. If you just know this class name, you can able to create all the components in this class only. So that will not be the best practice. You have to create it in the framework also, no? If it is meant for reusability. For that, you have to identify the framework work class which is connected to this one. So finally, what I'm trying to say here is whatever the class we have, if you want to just check for the inheritance of this, just click on right click, just right click, and there will be something like inheritance. So if we just check, right click and click on inheritance. So here we can able to see. So one number, we have numbers from 1 to 6. So you leave about this 4, 5, 6. We are not sure about what are all these. 3 is something what we know. This is the organization name what we have created, and this is also one of the name what we have given, and this is also we already know. So the first one is considered as a class group, implementation class group, which will be considered as a unit class, and this is the division class, and this is the organization class. Okay, so this first class, that is unit class, is connected to one division class. This is the division class, and this division class has been inherited from this class number 3. So that is CHG. So this is the order. So this is one, number 1 is the child, 2 is the parent of that, 3 is the parent of 2, 4 is the parent of 3, 5 is the parent of 4. Likewise, you forget about 4, 5, 6 as of now. We are not sure what are all these. 1, 2, 3 we can able to easily understand. So 1 is the unit class, and this unit class has been derived from this one division class, and this division class has been derived from an organization class. So this we came to know because of we clicking on inheritance. So if we just right click on inheritance, so right click on implementation class group, we got this basic information. So let me take the screenshot. So I just want to show some comparison here. That's what I'm doing. I'm pasting it here. Sorry. Similarly, I can able to check for the inheritance of any other class. No? So this is the framework work class. So if I want to just check for the inheritance of this framework work class, the same process, right click and click on inheritance. So if we just click on inheritance, the same thing we are seeing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first 4 we already know. These are the names what we are aware of. 5, 6, 7. You leave about this. We are not sure what are all these. So 1 will be like an unit class. So this has been inherited from one division class, and this has been inherited from this class, and this has been inherited from this organization class. Okay, and this has been inherited from one work dash cover dash. We forget about that. So this way we can able to get the inheritance of each and every class. Similarly, if this is my organization class, if I want to check for the inheritance, the same thing, right? Like this organization class has to be inherited from some class, no? So this has been inherited from work dash. This has been from work dash cover dash and place class. So if you compare in both of these, sorry. So I'm taking a screenshot and pasting it here. So this is for the framework. This is for the implementation, and this is for the framework. So if we observe here, we can able to see this particular first 1 to 4. These four classes are meant for framework work classes only, no? And here this is for the implementation class. 1, 2, 3 is meant for implementation work class. Here it is showing like framework work class, and here it is showing like implementation work class. So for the implementation work class, the immediate parent is work dash cover dash, and for the framework work class, the immediate parent is work dash cover dash, and work dash is parent for that, base class is parent for that. Okay, so based on this construction, we can able to analyze with one diagram. So I'll not take more than 10 minutes. Don't get fed up. So if you want me to continue inheritance tomorrow also, I can able to do that. You feeling bored? Kumar Tulani?
No, you can continue. Yeah, I'm fine. Tulani?
Yeah, we can continue.
Okay. So here, this is the inheritance for implementation class group, and this is the inheritance for framework class group. So in both of these, in both the comparisons, we can able to see that work dash cover dash is the parent of this implementation class group, and here also work dash cover dash is the parent of this framework work class. So I'm trying to get one pictorial representation based on this. So at the rate base class is considered as a topmost parent in both of this, and it is having child as work dash, and this is having child like work dash cover dash, and here it is having so do you agree with this architecture? So what are the thing I have drawn here? This is for the implementation class group. So this is the implementation class group, no? So in this implementation class group, we have seen first 1, 2, 3. You combine all these, this will be considered as an implementation class group. So this implementation class group has been derived from work dash cover dash. Okay, this implementation class group has been derived from work dash cover dash. So work dash cover dash has been derived from work dash, and work dash has been derived from at the rate base class. So at the rate base class is considered as a topmost parent here, and it is having work dash as the child, and the child of this work dash is work dash cover dash, and this implementation class group has been considered as a child of this work dash cover dash. So do you agree with this?
Yes.
And similarly, if I am trying to check for the inheritance of this framework work class, so first 1, 2, 4, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 classes are meant for framework work class, no? So this framework work class has been derived from work dash cover dash. So work dash cover dash has already been implemented here, and this framework work class has been derived from. So you agree with this also, no? Do you agree with this? Based on this architecture, what I'm trying to understand, this framework work class has been inherited from work dash cover dash, and this framework, this is implementation work class. Implementation work class has also been implemented from, has been inherited from work dash cover dash. So this I came to know based on inheritance. So do you agree with this statement? With this diagram, both of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we just compare this with our earlier discussion, I think I have removed that. So this will be considered as a parent to this one as well as this one. So this is one class and this is another class. So these two are the separate classes that has been inherited from work dash cover dash. So if my architecture is like this, I cannot able to inherit any components from this framework. So this is the implementation class. So in the first class, what we have discussed, framework, the main purpose of we creating for framework is that is meant for reusability. So what are all the implementation class groups I'm trying to create? I want to use all the components from framework into that. So if my architecture is like this will be considered as in, these two will be considered as in brothers or siblings. So we cannot able to inherit any component between siblings, no? That's what we have discussed now. We can able to inherit components only from its parents. So here both the parent is same. So for this parent is work dash cover dash, and for this also parent is work dash cover dash. So if this is my behavior, then these two will be considered as in brothers or siblings. So if it is sibling, as per the inheritance, we cannot able to inherit any components from this framework work class into this implementation. You agree with this statement?
Yeah.
Both of you?
Mm.
So the purpose of we creating one framework application has been gone wrong somewhere. Based on inheritance, we came to know. So if this is my architecture, I cannot able to use any of the components from framework into implementation. If I just make minor modification like this, so if I change my architecture in this way, will this be sufficient? So if I'm trying to make this implementation work class as a child to this implement framework work class, and this will be considered as a child to this work dash cover dash, if I make modifications like this, so this is my existing behavior. So here implementation work class, the parent of this implementation work class is work dash cover dash. Now if I make some modifications, like the parent of this implementation class group has been made with this framework work class. So if I redesign this, I can able to use all the components from this framework work class. So this will be considered as a child, and this will be considered as an immediate parent, and this will be considered as a parent to this. Likewise, we can able to easily understand. So if I make modifications like this, and if it is following this structure, in this structure, we can able to have all the components inherited. So the thing what we have to do is we have to make some modifications to the existing behavior. So the thing what I'm trying to say here is this is the implementation work class, and I have to change the parent of this implementation work class. That's it, nothing more than that. Yeah. So here the parent of this implementation work class has been shown here like work dash cover dash. So if that is my case, I cannot able to use the components of framework. So I have to change the parent of this implementation class group. So if you want to change the parent of this parent of any class or this implementation class group, just click on definition. In the definition only we can able to see all these details, no? For inheritance, we can able to see the whole structure. And if you want to just change the parent, what we have to do is we have to just click on definition. And this is already, we know, like concrete class and is a belongs to class. And if we scroll down, there will be something like class inheritance section. So this particular class has been inherited directly, I mean, from this work dash cover dash. So this is considered as an immediate parent to this particular implementation class. So if I change this to framework, then my requirement will be meeting here, no? So the implementation class group immediate parent, here it is showing like work dash cover dash. Now what I'm trying to make changes here is I'm trying to change the parent of this implementation class. If I make the framework work class as a parent, then all the inheritance structure will be changed and I can able to reuse that. So let me change the parent. Here it will be showing the immediate parent. Okay. So as of now it is having work dash cover dash, but I want to change this to framework. So chg fw chg work. So if I just give like this and click on save, then this particular framework work class will be considered as a parent to this implementation work class. Then we can able to meet this approach. So in PRPC, whatever all the text box we see with this red color, sorry, with this blue color at the right side, that will be considered as in drop downs. You remember this blindly. So any text box with this blue color mark at the right side will be considered as a drop down. So you type anything and click on down arrow, then it will be prompting all the values and it will be acting like in drop down. Okay. So I'm selecting framework work class here and clicking on save. So now my expectation here will be class structure will be changed in this way. So if I just check for the inheritance of this particular class, I should be seeing this as the parent. Let us do that. So we have made the changes and clicked on save. And now let me again check for the inheritance. So I'm checking for the inheritance of framework now. If we just check on framework inheritance, so at the rate base class is okay, work dash cover dash is okay, and on top of work dash cover dash we should be having framework. So this design is fine for me. And now we have made modifications to this implementation and I'm trying to check for the changes. So just right click and click on inheritance. Here we can able to see. Here we can able to see this at the rate base class is the topmost parent and work dash cover dash work dash, and on top of this work dash we are seeing like framework work class. So 4, 5, 6 these are related to framework work class. Okay. On top of this framework we have we are seeing implementation class. So this will be considered as a child to this, and this will be considered as a child to this, and this likewise. So we are meeting our requirement here. So we have made the modifications and this is working fine. So if this is my structure, this will be considered as a parent. What are all the components we created in this framework, we can able to reuse it here. So this will be considered as a parent. So this is because of the concept of inheritance. Clear? So this is very important. We should be changing it manually. So in the real time also, if you are having 4 or 5 framework applications, and if you are creating, if you are having multiple implementation applications, PRPC will not be knowing which implementation application has to be linked to which framework. Okay, so that's why it will not be providing by default any connection between framework and implementation. Someone asks you in interview, we have to change the inheritance structure in this way, and why PRPC is not automatically taking this particular framework as parent to this implementation. Why? Because we may be having multiple framework applications. I may have 3 framework applications and I may have 5 implementation applications in my project. So which implementation application has to be linked to which framework? So that PRPC will not be knowing. We have to give it manually. So that's why by default it will not be having any of the parent class, sorry, any of the framework work class connected. So all the work class will be by default inherited from work dash cover dash only. So if you're trying to create one more framework, it will be by default connecting it from work dash cover dash only. And if you want to make this framework as an parent to this the created one, we have to change the parent manual like this way. Sorry. So clear so far? All the work class which are being created automatically, that will be inherited from work dash cover dash by default. So it will not be considering the framework or the implementation relationship. We have to define it manually. So inheritance will be of two types. We'll discuss that tomorrow. You clear so far, no? So you got how to check the inheritance of any class and what are the types of classes. So what's the concept of is a class group and what's the concept of test connection. So the importance of abstract classes. So clear so far? Any doubts?
No, we are okay.
Tulan, you also okay, no?
Yes, Chandra, one more thing. Earlier, when we were creating the implementation application, we created upon that framework
Yes,
application,
yeah,
right?
I expect these questions. I thought of telling this. So even though we are trying to create on top of this framework application, PRPC will not be using this. So that will be just meant for using the styles and like that only. So we may be having multiple framework applications, and even though if you're trying to create the implementation application by using this framework application which is already created, but it will not be inheriting any of the components unless we define it manually here. So that is the point I'm trying to stress from long time.
Okay.
Even though we are using the same framework application which is already created, it will not be constructing the relationship here. Okay, so this has to be done manually.
Oh, interesting.
Any other doubts?
No.
Can we
So
wind up?
one minute. So the parent class director, so which will be always, it should be the what we created. The implementation will be done by the user, right? No built-ins or anything like that.
Yes. You're talking about this definition, no? You're talking about this one. So the implementation application has been built on one application. So this is the one, but this is not related to the inheritance. Okay. So earlier Tulani was asking, no, this particular implementation application has been selected, has been created by selecting another application, that is the framework that we are seeing it here. But this does not mean we are making this as a framework. That is different and this is different. Is this your question?
No, you said no, like the parent class, we can always define implementation, that part we will be created. So so that's the reason I asked, like there is no built-in functions that we have to select it from any one of the functions.
Really sorry, I did not get the question.
No, can you go to that option like a parent class?
This one, framework.
Yeah, here inheritance.
Yeah.
Okay, here inheritance. After that, you are checking. No, in the class group, you are selecting the implementation part, right?
Yes. Yeah. Here we have selected. Yeah.
Yeah. So here it should always selected by what we created for the implementation part. There is no built-in that will be chosen.
Yes. Yeah.
Already
We have to define it manually. Yes. So by default, whatever the class group we create. So this class group will be created if you are creating one application. It might be either implementation or framework. Whatever the class group, it will be created automatically. That has to be obtained from this work dash cover dash only. So if we just check for definition, all the work classes, maybe implementation or the framework, that will be inherited from this work dash cover dash. You have to change the structure manually. If you want to make this as a framework to this, you have to change it here.
Okay. And one more question, like general questions, like a Java we have some built-in as well as user-defined functions, right? So
Yeah.
while we defining inheritance, is it possible like same implementations will cover like a map list, something like that? It will be there, right?
So
So
what are all the OOTB functions what we are discussing so far that will be created in the @base class? Okay, yesterday we have seen like send email notification. No? I'll discuss about this tomorrow. So if you observe, @base class is the topmost class. We should will discuss about this @base class tomorrow, and we'll discuss about this work dash cover dash. And anyways, we have to define. I mean, we have to discuss about these types of inheritance also. So in that we'll be covering all this. @base class, this will be considered as a topmost. And if we are trying to have any OOTB activities, any OOTB Java code, that will be created in this class only. We'll discuss this tomorrow.
okay.
So we'll meet on Monday. Is that okay? Tomorrow I may not join. Tomorrow is Sunday, no?
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll send you the recording and the document as well. You can able to follow it.
Okay. So every Sunday you are not able to join, or only for the tomorrow sessions?
So what do you expect actually? You want me to continue for 7 days?
Yeah, it's fine. But Saturday, Sunday, I'm comfortable. But other weekdays, I will be little bit tough for me. 7 to 8, I have a class. Another sessions with the meeting. So
We can able to change the timings if that is your problem. Why? Because Saturday and Sunday I'll be having some other appointment. I want to take some rest and want to spend with my family. So I may not promise you all the time for Saturdays and Sundays. I can able to join like these days, like here and then I can able to join Saturdays and Sundays. I can able to let you know in prior. If you want me to join tomorrow also, I can able to do that. Tomorrow it will be feasible for me. It's up to you.
yeah,
But
tomorrow is fine for me. Yeah.
Tulani, you also okay, or shall we meet on Monday?
Tomorrow I can make it, but if Chandra is not available, we can make it on Monday.
Yeah, as tomorrow, let me know by 6 p.m. IST. We'll be having it. We're planning it 9 p.m. IST, no? So let me know sometime prior. If you both are okay, then we can able to continue.
Okay, then I'll discuss with Tulani and then I'll
Yeah.
get back to you, Chandra, once again.
Yeah. Okay. So do you feel this session is worthy about this class and inheritance?
Sorry?
No. Do you feel that this session seems to be having much knowledge? Did you
Yes.
get much knowledge out of this class? That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Yeah. But we need to work out like inheritance and concrete. So we have to go through it with the PEGA tools. Then it will be more clear to us.
Yeah. So if you practice it on daily basis, then you will be getting much interest and you can able to explore many things out of our class. So that is my expectation, and I suggest you the same. You will be getting much interest and you'll be exploring more things from PEGA PDN. And before that, did you both register in PEGA PDN? That is very important. I think Lani must be knowing.
Yes, I already have an account, Chandra. So I downloaded the personal edition there and have done yesterday's flashcard.
And Uma, I recommend you to register in PEGA PDN. Why? Because if you are just attending some interviews, they will be asking some of the interviews will be asking you about your PDN account. So it is not mandatory that they will be asking, but they might be asking you. So if we just register today, it will be they can able to see the date when you got registered. So based on that, they can able to identify. So let's not take any risk.
So how to do that? Can you guide me?
Nothing. You just search in Google like PEGA PDN. So earlier we used to call this as an PEGA PDN. Now, now it is URL is changed to PEGA community. No problem. You can able to still search in PEGA PDN in Google search. Okay. So you can able to click on any of the links like community.pega.com or anything. At the right, you will be having something like login or sign up. There you can able to sign up.
Okay.
So do you have any organization mail ID or the personal mail ID? I think Tulani can help you. She's already done with this.
Yes, I was about to suggest that. I'll help Uma to create an account because
yeah, I'm right now working one of organization, so I can use that ID.
Yes, yes, you can use that.
Yes, actually, currently I'm using my personal email ID because currently I'm not working. So I have updated.
Yeah, if you are not currently working also, earlier once you get registered with the organization mail ID, that will be there for permanent. So if I'm working in some organization now, and if I register in PDN today, and if I'm not working for next 5 or 6 years also, the PDN account will be active with the mail ID what I'm using it today.
Yes.
So that will not be linked. Yeah. If you have already registered with the organization mail ID, that will be better.
Primary mail ID will be there, right?
Yeah. Yes, yes. So this is just like a recommendation. It is not like thumb rule that every interviewer will be asking about PDN, but people started asking. Let's not take the risk. That's what I want to suggest you.
So one more thing, like what is the use of this PDN and communities registration?
One thing is you will not be getting not be getting the information or any help from outside PDN. So if you want to search for any of the code, if you got stuck in anywhere, you cannot able to search the same in Google. If you're working in Java or .NET, if you want to search for, if you want to make any, even if you need any help, you can able to search in the Google. No, there will be getting some code written from some websites. But with this PEGA, you cannot able to get any help outside this PEGA PDN. There will not be any other sites.
Okay.
Because if you want to just make some text box color as blue with this PEGA tool, if we just search in PEGA, if you just search in Google, you will not be getting suggestions from any other websites. You will be getting suggestions from only PEGA PDN, PEGA community.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we use that organization ID, it will be the better help for me to.
Yeah, that is what I recommend. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So even if you planning to attend some interviews also, then they will be easily understanding that you are already working in some other organization, and you can able to showcase yourself that you are working on PEGA in that organization, and you can able to show the proof with this PEGA PDN account also.
Oh, okay, got it. So I'll do it today itself, because after 2 months I'm also going to search for PEGA options, so it will be helpful.
Yes, yes. Okay. So I'm winding up. And tomorrow we may or may not join. That is what our expectation as of now. Okay. So let me know by 6 p.m. tomorrow IST. If you both are okay, I'll plan to take.
Okay. Thank you,
Tomorrow, yeah, and tomorrow we'll take one. We'll start designing our website. Start with our how to upload the images and how to create the properties and how to create the flow. So these all things we'll discuss after we are done with this inheritance part. Okay. Yes. I'm closing the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.